After that, I'll talk about complex personhood, some of the aspects about this theory, this notion of complex personhood. By the American sociologist Avery Gordon, introduced the concept of complex personhood, which examines how social life is shaped by absences, surpassed histories, and persisting effects of unsolved social tensions. So Gordon's broader work examines the idea of haunting, arguing social realities are often shaped by forces that are not immediately visible, but continue to shape our institutions, our perceptions, mainstream narratives, and personal experiences. So with this concept, with this concept of complex personhood, it examines the simplified portrayals of individuals by looking at how people simultaneously have contradictory emotions, motivations, and social positions in society. As it suggests that the individuals are not fixed to single identities, but rather human experiences are shaped with historical conditions and dominant and cultural narratives and lived experiences. So, conspiracy theories, when conspiracy theories or people who believe in conspiracies encounter new information and that contradicts their prior knowledge or expectations how reality should appear, the contradiction can produce a sense of unease and sense of unsettling feelings. So one example would be that the Apollo landing, people believe Apollo landing was fabricated, and then some of the claims that there is the absence of stars. So what they expected originally was stars to be there, and then when it contradicted their expectations, that's one of the explanations how it can happen when they contradict their own, and then it creates this paradoxical situation. And then I move to chapter 2. That is the close analysis, text analysis with two films. So this chapter moves from theoretical framework to primary source cultural text, examining how conspiracy thinking is expressed, sustained, and represented through cinematic and film texts. So films don't simply reflect the reality, they actively construct meaning and interpretive frameworks of reality. So it opens by situating its analysis within the historical context of the period. This chapter focuses on close analysis of the two films, Oliver Stone's JFK 1991 and Bart Sibyl's documentary, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. So each film is closely analyzed and using the theoretical tools discussed in chapter 1. And then chapter concludes with the personal reflection, and then some of personal reflection on the persisting conspiracies about the Apollo 11 and Artemis 2 program that's recently just happened.
About 10 more minutes. About 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes? Okay. Yeah. So I start first talking about the decade of 1960s. So the United States had experienced a tense of very political, social, technological, and tensions which contribute to developing state of conflicts, polarization, and uncertainty at that time. So the decade was marked with overlapping social anxieties from Cold War geopolitical landscapes, domestic inequality, civil war, and rapid scientific developments. And all of these conditions had shaped not just the social life, but also the patterns which people interpret and react to the reality and authority. So the JFK film, directed by Oliver Stone, presents the investigation of the assassination of the President John F. Kennedy by New Orleans District of Attorney Jim Garrison. So when Garrison delves in the conventional thinking on the assassination, he faced government resistance. And after the killing of suspected assassin Lee Harvey Oswald, he closed the case. But then he later reopens the case, the investigation, finding evidence for a conspiracy behind it. So when Lee Oswald is detained by the Dallas Police Department and questioned, his interrogation is never recorded and no official transcript is produced, as the film presents. Jim Garrison finds this suspicious and starts his independent investigation on that starts questioning the whole case. So in the terms of the uncanny, this is precisely the moment when the Heimlich, the police department, the Texas Police Department, and legal process, which is expected to be transparent, turns into unheimlich. And for individuals who already have been carrying this schemas of institutional distrust and fear, this can feel like more like a confirmation justification. And even there's a complex personhood's association that when Garrison's daughter receives a call that sounds like a potential threat to her, he simply continues the investigation as the movie fades. He continues the investigation even when his wife expressed fear of that, and he tells her to leave, and then he tells her to leave and file a divorce. So that Amend disregards a threat to his daughter for a political investigation is not simply heroic. So he is, as Gordon says, stuck in the symptoms of his own troubles. So this film prioritized the heroic narrative over the genuinely complex person's human behavior. So all of these observations about the film is not to diminish the film's broader argument, but also just to illustrate important elements and aspects about the nature of conspiracies and how they are represented. And then it moves to a funny thing happened on the way to the moon. It's a documentary. It's not as big as the JFK. It's independently lit, and it probably didn't even need a studio. So this documentary offers analytical primary lens for the general landscape of conspiracies about the moon landing. So unlike Oliver Stone's film, which is viewed more as dramatized fictional narrative, this documentary serves as a direct evidence to the events as well as investigative approach. So one of the interesting approaches the documentary starts with the opening sequence that already tries to create its interpretive framework before any